Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to another Saturday morning here with the SPORTSKRIB Fantasy Crew. Um, have a little shortened holiday version today, only about 30 minutes or so. But first of all, let's get our little commercial out of the way. As you can see on the bottom, you can subscribe and donate to the SPORTSKRIB. You can subscribe right there at the Cash App, $JEK3. And all proceeds will go to keep us on the air and for our fantasy t-shirt. I see Reggie's here this morning. Reggie, let me get you up here. How are you doing this morning?
Can't complain, man. Glad to be on for this holiday version here. I figured, I was gonna miss this week, but I said, you know what? Let me go ahead, man, and give them at least 30 minutes. You know what I mean?
Well, it was a really trying time for some teams, and for other teams, you can kind of tell when the cream rises to the top.
Yeah, sure.
And hopefully, sorry to say, my Steelers weren't one of them.
Well, man. Rough day out there.
We can't use the excuse, of 3 games in 11 days because Kansas City played 3 games in 11 days. They won all of theirs. The Ravens played 3 games in 11 days. They won all of theirs.
Yeah, another thing to back up that point, not only did the Ravens and Kansas City win their games, but they looked like the Ravens in Kansas City while they were doing it. So they won those games. And I don't know if any time those games were in question. Kansas City's had a season where they're winning by single digits. And they're not scoring, they're not putting up a lot of points. But the thing is if you're watching these games and you're a football fan, when have you watched these games and felt Kansas City was going to lose the game? Like it's you don't think they're going to lose. Like no matter how much they win by, you don't feel like they're going to lose the game. So I feel like Kansas City and the Ravens have done a good job of maintaining their standards of how they've been playing football in that 11 days.
We went over 3. It was a rough 3.
Rough stretch, right?
We had the Ravens, Kansas City, and the Eagles.
Mm-hmm.
So it wasn't like we played 3 cream puffs, but
Yes, exactly. All winning teams and all winners and all top teams too. They're all double-digit winners. So rough schedule.
So, and then to be without your primary wide receiver and fantasy getter, George Pickens.
Yeah.
As a Steeler fan, I still don't think we have a quarterback.
So here's the problem. Here's the problem with things as they're presently constructed. We knew that when we got Russ and when we got Fields, at least I will say I felt like Russ was the immediate answer. And we were putting Fields up on the shelf and hoping that he would be the answer. So I felt like between the two, we had our answer. We didn't necessarily have our answer in one of these individuals, but between the two, I felt like we had our answer for 3 to 5 years. You know what I mean? Not like the next 10. I'm not saying we drafted a guy, but can Fields turn into a serviceable winning quarterback for the Steelers for the next 3 years? I think it's possible. But I get kind of where you're coming from because when you're looking at other teams, even when you look at the Panthers and looking at Bryce Young starting to come on, look like an NFL quarterback, you're saying, well, wish we had something like that. Because even when we do see it from Russ, we see it from a guy in his mid-30s. We see it from a guy in his early 20s, like we hope to see, like a lot of teams hope to see. Because those guys around Russ's age, I'm not saying that he's got only 1 year left, but it's not really a ton of tread left on the tires there. So I think the hope was that Fields would come over and take over the job eventually.
But Bo Nix is 26.
Mm-hmm. Bo Nix is, and you know what? The thing about Bo Nix too, because we're going to keep saying, I'm going to keep saying it on both shows. I was telling people about Bo Nix during preseason. I was getting a lot of Bo Nix hate, and I will say that as an Alabama fan, I feel like I'm being very objective on this show. I'm an Alabama fan. People know how I felt about Bo Nix. I crapped on Bo Nix the last 2 years in this show. I've been crapping on Bo Nix, but He's played good. He's played good during preseason. He's played good during the season. I think Bo Nix is an actual football player, and he's looking like one.
I mean, and
What is Russ? Like 35 for Russ? 34, 35 for Russ?
Somewhere around in there.
Yeah, man.
And I mean, it's we talked, teased about Bo Nix being the oldest player, so forth and so on.
Playing 10 years in college.
Yeah, but when you look at his performance,
he's played well.
Even his fantasy performance, I mean,
and better than you thought he'd be.
And this is where I say I'm not satisfied with what we have in our quarterback room, because these young quarterbacks have even managed to adapt to their receivers. And that's what I don't see us doing. If George Pickens is there, we have other wide receivers that are maybe not as capable as Pickens, but at least that are serviceable. But we can't get the ball to them. You see, I mean, what has Williams had since he come over from the Jets? 3 catches.
Very big of a disappointment there with Mike Williams, man. He's been a disappointment. You could argue that Mike Williams been a disappointment even in the Chargers, even when he was with San Diego or Los Angeles. You can argue that he was because he was boom bust guy then. He was never like that Keenan Allen guy to me, like that steady Eddie. He was that boom bust guy, and he looks more bust than boom as of late.
Yeah, and Calvin Austin III is very serviceable. He's very quick. I admit he's not the tallest, but he is
serviceable, though. I agree.
We're not getting the ball out quick enough. I mean, I am happy and surprised that Russ has proved his mobility, at least in the last 2 games. But it hasn't helped us to win. I mean, he was running for his life, but a lot of times, I understand, when you have the pressure, sometimes, you tend to hurry the ball up. But there were a lot of times when I thought that if he came back after going through his progressions, or even halfway through his progressions, I think we're not using Freiermuth enough.
Really, I felt like Freiermuth was getting a little bit of I felt like he became more fantasy serviceable this year than a lot of his previous years, to me, because the Freiermuth got me through a few weeks, man.
Yeah, that's true, but I'm saying it in the sense of the overall use. After, I think he certainly got more use after we set Fields down. But
for sure.
But I mean, it's become a strategy for most teams to use their tight end much more. I mean, if you look, I'm pretty sure if you look around the league, tight end numbers are up.
Yeah, people tend to want them to be used all the time too. Like we have Kyle Pitts here in Atlanta, and it's same situation. People feel like perpetually underused or feel like he's not as great as advertised. I'm a big fan of Muth, and when you look at what our last 3 games were in Pittsburgh, let's just take stock of what they were. And sometimes you got to be an honest fan with yourself. When you look at the games of the Eagles, the Ravens, the Chiefs, as much as I love the Steelers, I don't feel like we are better than the Eagles, the Ravens, and the Chiefs right now. I feel like we can be better than them on any given Sunday. I feel like on any given Sunday, I feel like the Steelers can beat any team in the league. The Steelers can beat any Sunday. But the thing is, so can the Ravens, so can the Chiefs, and so can the Eagles. All 3 of those teams all fit in that category. We're not talking about, when I'm talking about the Steelers, and this is rarefied air, I'm talking about a team that's a winning organization. So I'm not going to compare the Steelers to a mid team. The expectation is high. There's a high expectation in Pittsburgh. And that high expectation says that if you're going to go up against I feel like the Ravens, the Steelers can match up with because they seem to have Lamar's number. But that scares me. I remember telling you that before. Like, you're not going to have every single game where you're just owning a guy every game. Eventually, he's going to get over that hump. And I said that before they played last time. So I feel good about the Steelers-Ravens matchup because of the divisional element too. The division, you never know. So Steelers-Ravens matchup any day of the week, you give me that. Chiefs-Eagles, those are two good football teams who have just been in a Super Bowl not too long ago. Chiefs this year and Eagles last year. So it's like, what do you expect? You know, those are hard teams to beat. And Eagles, I want to say, also have the number one defense in the NFL. This is an easy competition.
Yeah. What about the Vikings?
Same. Vikings are looking respectable. Like, these are all double-digit win teams at this point, right? So it's on any given Sunday, these teams can give it to you. If I had to rank them in order, I definitely still would like if I was putting the Chiefs, Eagles, Ravens up there. If I'm still ranking like that trifecta of teams, I still kind of like them more. I would put Detroit in there if they had a healthy defense, but I feel like Detroit's got to score 30. So Vikings, I like the Vikings. I like what Sam Darnold did there. I think they have an interesting situation coming up from a contractual standpoint there of what they're going to do. But from a fantasy standpoint, Jefferson didn't disappoint. The guy who won my home league, Jefferson was his wide receiver one in this team.
Yeah, 2 fantasy shows ago, we were talking about Jefferson only catching 1 TD pass. Well, during that 3-game stretch, I think he caught at least 5 TD passes. I know.
Still Justin Jefferson. That's what we learned. If I learned anything this fantasy season, I learned that Saquon Barkley, Jamar Chase, and Justin Jefferson are still Saquon Barkley, Jamar Chase, and Justin Jefferson, no matter where they're being drafted, ladies and gentlemen. That's what I learned this fantasy season.
I think a team that has disappointed on the fantasy side, even during the regular season, but now, I'm kind of, waiting with bated breath because I think they're the last team that we play in our division, and I'm talking about the Bungles. Joe
What
Burrow.
an interesting team there. What an interesting team. That's when we get not to ruin our lineup today. Is I'm in 2 championship games this week. I got a chance for 2 chips. Never won a chip before. As much as I talk fantasy, I've been really diving into it, but I've only been playing fantasy for about 4 to 5 years. And in comparison to a lot of people in my life been playing fantasy, that's like fantasy baby, man. They've been playing for decades. Or a lot of people that I play with, been playing for a very long time. But I've been in the playoffs every year that I've played. I've been holding on. You know what I mean? And I feel like this might be my year. Chance for 2 championships this year. And on one of those teams, Joey B, man, it's my guy. I'm looking for Joey B to take me to the promised land. I hope he does it, man. We got stiff competition going against the Broncos, but I think the Bengals are one of those teams like the Rams. You know what I mean, man? Like, James, the Rams and the Bengals are 2 teams that have both been in the Super Bowl and can at any given day can wake up and remember that they had been in the Super Bowl and play like it on any given day. So it's like you are those the teams that you want to get. Let's say that you got to play the 6th seed. You got to play the very last seed, and that last seed is the Rams or the Bengals. Like, oh my God, like it sucks because those teams are getting healthier, and I feel like the Bengals are Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase on the tear. I got the Jamar Chase Burrow stack on that championship team.
And very disappointing last week because I rode him to the championship, and then last week he gets hurt, and I'm talking about Josh Allen.
Yeah, it's interesting because he's running out there. He's my quarterback now for my. So I have 2 teams, right? QBs, Joe Burrow and Josh Allen, and I need him out there. He said he's gonna be out there though, man. Josh said he broke his hand in week 1. That's what Josh said. Josh said he said he broke his left hand. I'm not sure what this new situation may be. I'm not sure if related, but he said he broke his left hand week 1. But he said it doesn't matter. And when you look at his stats, he might need to break his left hand every week one. When you look at what his QB rating is compared to some of his other years, like he's been pretty broke. He broke his left hand and became a more accurate quarterback. Like,
well, I mean, it was interesting because, is this something that that's going to be permanent? Because he said he lost feeling in his hand.
Man, I don't like it, right? And when we needed him, I needed him last week, man. And
I
I was still
needed
able to get him through, but he let me down. So in the SPORTSKRIB league, I lost because of him. So my sports in our leagues, I lost because of Josh Allen. I barely won in my other leagues, but I also have Josh Allen. But I think I won because I had somebody go off for me on that other team. So I was able to kind of get over the hump, but not because of Josh Allen. No, he didn't help me out at all. I need him to help me this week. I need him this week, man. Please.
Yeah.
Please, I mean, Josh.
When you look at some of the quarterbacks that are going to be out this week, Jalen Hurts is out this week.
Right? Not crazy.
Kenny Pickett is starting this week. All right?
My guy Saquon. I need Saquon this week, man. That's my champ. These are all you naming all my championship teams. I got Saquon on that team. I got Jamar Chase. I got Joey B. I need all of them. I need all three. I need all of them today, man. I need all of them. I need all of them this week, I should say.
Also, Njoku is out. We're talking about tight ends.
Man, he seems to be in and out of the lineup, and what else is new? He's in and out every other week. Every week this year, I feel like Njoku's either been out of the lineup or questionable. At least 75% of this year. What percentage of the year has this man? Have you looked at this man's name and it been all green next to this man's name?
But now I also heard rumors that the Clowns are trying to restructure their contract with.
They did, from what I heard. I heard they did with Deshaun Watson.
Shaved a couple of years off the back end of that contract.
But they just moved the money around. It's the same money. They just wanted to stretch it out.
The money was guaranteed.
Goodness gracious. One of the worst decisions of all time. I know you were happy to hear that. As soon as they guaranteed that contract, they should been popping champagne in Pittsburgh. Like, y'all, absolutely.
Oh, of course. We were glad to hear it. So maybe the most disappointing team down the stretch and during the season, except for James Conner, has been the Cardinals. Talk about a team that's been up and down.
Marvin Harrison Jr. Remember, people thought he was going to be league winner coming out. Marvin Harrison Jr. He's going second round. All right, man. Like, yeah, be careful.
Well, I thought I was lucky. I got him in the third round. In a couple of leagues.
Probably thought it was a steal too when you got him in the third round.
He's spent most of my time on the bench.
Can't trust him. Can't trust him in the lineup, right? Can't trust him in the lineup. It's unfortunate.
Seattle. I don't know if you watched that game. Seattle.
I tried not to, man, because I'm playing Charbonnet this week, and I get nervous, so I can't watch the games. Like I'll watch in and out, but I'll be constantly hoping for a tackle for loss for Charbonnet, a fumble for Charbonnet. I'm hoping, like, I don't watch the games naturally when I'm playing certain players and certain teams, and I'm usually good with that because throughout the season I have 10 or 11 games going. You know what I mean? So I don't care. I have 10, 11 leagues, but now I'm only have 2. You know what I mean? So I was like, so now I'm really looking at those players and those teams and really watching those games. But I try not to pay too much attention to it. But yeah, I definitely have that going on. So I didn't watch the Seattle game, and it didn't like a very, very good game to watch anyway. I turned it off. I think there was like 6-3 or something like that when I turned it off.
Yes, it was. And normally that would be a game right up my alley. I'm an old Steelers, fan,
Man, you want those defensive struggles, don't you? You want those defensive struggles, yeah.
But I have to admit, I watched that game with the changer with the remote in my hand.
I know you were ready. You're ready to get out of here, man. I already know.
I didn't want to watch it, but I kept saying somebody's going to score. I know somebody's going to score.
What did the score end at?
6-3.
Yo, you just validated my decision, James. Thank you for validating my decision to absolutely not watch that garbage. Because I was like, you know what? I'm not watching this. I'm gonna just take myself away from it, man. Absolutely. 6-3, that's trash.
But you would think, with their playoff lives on the line, that Seattle would show up. Because I mean that they still have a chance. Their last game, I believe, is with the Rams.
Yeah, I think they got divisional, so they're not exactly out of it. I agree. I don't think they're mathematically eliminated anyway.
No, they're not mathematically. They're not eliminated. And if by some chance the Rams lose today, and then that game that they play could.
Who the Rams playing? I know we get Bengals, Broncos at 4:30, and I think we got 3 games today. Though I gotta look at that. The NFL slate.
There are 3 games today. The first one is on at 10 o'clock, and the 3 games today, not really exciting games, but all games that have playoff kind of implications.
Because that's something.
Because as I said, the Rams have to keep on winning. The 3 games today start out with the Chargers against New England. And we saw how close New England, of course, played Buffalo last week, but that was a division. It's
like the warm-up game, man. The Chargers need to go in there and handle business.
The Chargers have to handle business because that's the only way that they can stay alive is to keep winning. Denver is playing.
So at least there you got the must-win games. At least if nothing else, right? We're looking at a couple must-wins for a few teams.
Yeah, Denver has to keep on winning. They're playing in Cincinnati. That's
not easy.
That's the one.
That's not gonna be easy, man. That's the one I'm actually looking forward to because I got 2 players in that game. So actually 3, if you count between the 3 teams that I have Chase Brown on one of my championship teams, and I have Jamar Chase and Burrow on another one of my championship teams. I need the Bengals really to put up like 50 points today. I don't think it's gonna be. I don't know if that'd be possible, but that's what I need to happen.
That Broncos defense plays tough.
They do.
And once again we're talking about Bo Nix here. Is he gonna have an above average day?
I think he'll be serviceable, man. Like Bo Nix is looking pretty good to me, but I think that the fact that he's played so many games is some. Remember how that used to be a detriment when you used to look at players and say, why were they in college so long? Like nobody wanted them, and now it's seeming like these players that come out that are doing better earlier have seen more playing time earlier versus like a Trey Lance, who you don't see very much playing time. They get drafted and then they don't look as great coming out here. Bo Nix look like he's missed a beat from college to now.
Yeah, and although the Cardinals have been eliminated, they're playing at the Rams, and the Rams are playing for their playoff life right now.
The Cardinals are going to try to eliminate them for sure. The Cardinals will try to play spoiler. Absolutely.
Yeah, but the good thing is that they are playing. LA does have a home game, and as I say, they have to keep winning in order to stay in first place.
That's another team. Do you want that team to be healthy, James? That's another team right there. If you get Cooper Kupp back, who's done absolutely nothing for you but get you eliminated out of the playoffs the last couple of weeks. But if you get Cooper Kupp back, you get Nakua back, you get Kyron Williams still doing what he's doing. Matt Stafford still slinging it out there. I think you got a formidable team, and definitely a formidable team that if you draw them and you're supposed to be drawing the guy that's supposed to be drawing the team that's the least, I don't think you're happy drawing the Rams first, because I think that's a team that could also, just like the Steelers, they could knock you out any given time. It's like drawing the Steelers. You don't want to draw the Steelers no matter what seed you draw them.
Right now, if the playoff session ended today, I think we would play the Texans, and I think that's a much better matchup for us than going to the Bills again like we had to do last year. Because
So that, and that's kind of like those are the class teams I'm talking about, James. When we're talking about like the top, right? I talk about that a lot with my Atlanta friends. When we talk about the top, like you might talk about the improvements that your individual team may make, but if you're a fan of the league, you also know the improvements that the other teams are also making. So you have those situations where those teams are getting better, and I think it's just the Bills, the Ravens, the Chiefs. Man, those are class of the league, man. Class of the league. It's gonna be hard to beat those teams, especially going to their places to beat them. I really wish people had to come through Pittsburgh. Let's just say that.
Let's got to mention Smash Up Sports.
Absolutely.
I did beat my pro. He asked for a rematch. Yes, I did. He asked for a rematch.
Okay.
So
I need to check my score, man.
It's the one where we only there's the two last pros left. You can go against the two last pros. I think I started out this morning in 76th place, and I have
76th place. Okay.
Yes, they play the top 50, and I have 8 players left to go. So I'm not feeling bad. For once, I did play my cards right, but it's a couple minutes here till 9:30. So let's get our final lineups in here. You were talking about your SPORTSKRIB lineup. Who are you playing?
Well, my SPORTSKRIB lineup, I'm going to talk about the lineup on the games that I'm actually competing for a chip. Let's go look at some of these games here. Okay, so oh no, my guy just got a blessing for him. So Chuba Hubbard is out, guys. Chuba Hubbard is my running back, and that is horrible for me. It's horrible for me.
Yeah, they shut down Chuba. I was just reading it on. I think they shut him down to IR, right, for the rest of the season.
Yes, they did. Chuba is my running back so my things just got much worse for me very quickly here, guys. So now I got to think about who am I going to put in for Hubbard. Who am I going to put in? I can put in Williams. Williams is like the only player I can put in. I can only put in Jamison Williams is all I got. All I got. If I go to the running backs here for the lead, I can pick up off the bench. I can pick up Garendo, but it looks like he's questionable. I got Abdullah I can pick up.
I ended up having to play Abdullah in one league. I had a running back go out too. I'm not sure who it was. I think I picked up. I have Garendo as questionable.
Yeah, I see Garendo is questionable too on mine. So my question is going to be then: do I pick up Abdullah? Because I can pick Abdullah up, or I could.
I picked up Abdullah when I lost David Montgomery. That's when I picked up Abdullah.
So would you play Abdullah or would you play Jamison Williams?
Oh, Jamison Williams. I mean that's I have fallen in love with Jamison Williams as not only as a wide receiver, but as a fantasy player. Jameis Williams gets you those points, especially now when you don't have a David Montgomery. He makes those hard catches, and as you say, they're going to put up 30. Now, whether or not they can stop the other team from putting up 31, that's good. What they have 11 guys out on IR on the defense,
right?
Yeah. So they might get Hutchinson back if they can get to the Super Bowl. I mean, it's a lot to put on the defense, but it's also a lot, depending on the matchup. Right now, I'm looking forward to I'm guilty of looking ahead because they will be playing the Vikings for the their final game. So
Really?
yeah, that's it. That's the final. But they're playing in Detroit, so we'll see.
Another thing too, for people who may be looking in the same situation I am with Chuba Hubbard, it looks like Madison is also back in that backfield for the Raiders. So if you're going to decide to play Abdullah, right? So I'm looking at Abdullah here, and just for people who might look at that and not like that point, when you look at the last game, he was also back for the last game, and Abdullah had 17 points last game, and Madison was back for that game too. So in the last two games, 16 points, 17 points for Abdullah, right? Now, in this game, he is actually projected to do better than he did in those other games, but he is sharing a backfield with Madison. It's interesting. Where will we put Jameson? Where is Jameson Williams at on the? Is he like the second guy? Is he the number 2 wide receiver behind St. Brown? Is that where he is?
St. Brown and then Williams. Yes.
Okay, so I think I'm going to do that, and I think I'm also going to do that because if I'm not mistaken, when I look at that, let me go to look at that league. That might work out for me to a certain degree because the person that I'm playing has Jared Goff as their quarterback. So there might be a little bit of chess being had there. We'll see how that actually works out. But I see Jared Goff as their quarterback. I'm going to throw Jameson Williams in there.
You mean Jameson Williams is available on waivers or he's on your bench?
No, I have him on my bench. I
was going to say, if you got a league with Jameson Williams on waivers.
Bro, this is not the key. This is not a cupcake. This is a paid league. You know, there is a league. Let me tell you something about my other league, though. We'll get off. I know we got to go here soon. But let me tell you something about my other league. Like the other league that I'm in a championship league in, I do consider it a little bit of a cupcake league in the sense that, for one, you know, those paid leagues are more sharp. They're sharper leagues. You know what I mean? Because you got sharks in there in those paid leagues. And those are the spreadsheet guys, right? Those paid league guys, they got spreadsheets. They're ready. They're coming for you and they're ready to destroy you. The casual league guys, where you're not really paying any money, you might get a couple of hardcore guys in there. Like my other podcast partner, he's in the casual league, and he's gonna play. He's gonna put his players. He's gonna play like he's in a paid league. But then you also get people like my league, where I had a player in my league draft like 2 to 3 kickers. They had 3 kickers on their lineup at one point. I took a screenshot one day. I'm gonna share the screenshot of how ridiculous that lineup was. When I looked at that lineup, I'm like, they had like 2 tight ends, 2 or 3 kickers they were rostering on their lineup. They have 5 players rostered on their lineup between kickers and tight ends. And I'm like, yo, this is a cupcake league. But not this one. This is Jameson Williams is my bench. I haven't really had him in my lineup. So now that Hubbard, which is, I hate to see it happen, man. I like riding the guys that kind of got me here, man. So I hate to see it happen. But he does have Jared Goff, though. So maybe it's fate. I don't know. Man, I'm glad we looked at our lineups. Man, I'm glad you said that, man. Don't let me actually say my lineup, because you telling me to look at my lineup is what started this whole thing. I looked at it and I just saw disaster. I saw disaster impending for me, because I'm like, how did I go from projected to win to projected to lose so badly? All right, here we go. Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, Nico Collins, who played disappointing, but Nico got me something, so I'll take it. Saquon Barkley, who all know this ran me into this, and I need him. I need Saquon to break Eric Dickerson's record today. I need it broken today. I need all 268. I think he needs about 268, 270. Saquon, I need all 270 today, brother. That'd be nice. James Cook.
Well, you definitely need him, because, as I said, you got Kenny Pickett as your starting quarterback this week.
That's actually turned out to be advantageous for me, because guess who the top wide receiver is for my teammate here, AJ Brown. AJ Brown, on the guy is the receiver for the guy I'm playing. But you never know. Pickett is not total trash, so we'll see what happens there. James Cook, who ran me, Cook and Kittle are my next 2 players. James Cook and George Kittle played me into the playoffs. When they were on Monday night, I was losing. Like when they played, those 2 guys, I only had those 2 guys left to play. My competition had 4 players left to play. Those 2 players are the reason that I'm in the championship game now. So now Jameson Williams, he's in the lineup now. Chris Boswell, who didn't really do much for me, but I love the Steelers, so I'm going to take it. Philadelphia, who originally I had Arizona in here defense, which I think I just spelled. I think I had them in by mistake. I forgot to take them out last week. And so now I have Philadelphia in there versus Dallas and hope they give me something.
Well, let's see. My lineup this week is I'm going to go with the Josh Allen.
Got to roll him out, man. Got to, right?
They're playing the Jets.
Got to roll him out there, man.
And
hey, yo, is that in Buffalo? Or is that in New York or in New Jersey?
It's in Buffalo.
Okay, there we go. There we go. They can handle business.
Then I had Connor, who's questionable, but he seems to always be serviceable. So I'm going to leave him in there unless I hear something different.
True. James Conner, great player. I don't really see any point in taking him out.
I had to start Rico Dow. It's a choice between Rico and Abdul. And
how did Dow do for you last week? I remember I was planning the Abdul flag, which I hope people started. Listen, I've been planning that Abdul flag for a week or two now. So if you guys started him, if you guys listened to me and ran him out there the last week or two, you guys have been rewarded for that.
Yeah, last week, I did get 17 points from Abdul. But once again, I'm kind of playing the matchup here. Okay. The Raiders are playing at home, and as I said, Dallas playing Philadelphia, which it's not so much. It's the players that I have on IR. Like I said, I got.
No. Goodness gracious, Philadelphia. Goodness, that's tough.
Yeah, I got it was either play DeAndre Swift, which would have gotten me 12 points.
That would have been nice.
Yeah, or I can play. I can always play Garendo. Playing at
Garendo's been serviceable, man. Like Garendo's been serviceable. Detroit's kind of banged up, but at the end of the day, though, I don't know if I really want to run. I mean, matchup wise. You're in a kind of similar situation that I am. I don't really have great matchups, and some of my great matchups are disappearing. Like Hubbard was a decent matchup for me that has just disappeared.
Oh,
decent. Yeah. He wasn't great,
but it was decent. Yeah.
And it wasn't like the 30s and 28s like I'm kind of floating in with some of my players.
I ran out DJ Metcalf. He did get me 7.5 points. My other wide receiver is Jameson Williams, as I said.
We need him. I need that 100-yard score. Come on, Jameson. I need it.
I got Laporta as my tight end. AJ Brown as my flex. The Chiefs actually got me 11 points. So I'm
on the defense end.
Yeah, and my kicker is Will Lutz.
So you ran the Chiefs out there versus Steelers?
Well, I play one defense at a time. And
I can. So emotionally, guys, I will tell you this emotionally, and this is something I don't recommend. James, you're doing this the right way. Emotionally, I never can run defenses against teams that I like. So I would never run a defense against Atlanta, and I can never run a defense against Pittsburgh, because then I got to cheer for the defense. I have to cheer for them to beat my team, and I cannot do it. I can't do it. Better man than me. But you're objective, the way that you're supposed to be. It's cold and objective. There, James.
Yeah, like a guy that has been very surprising is not Michael Pittman Jr., but what's the other one?
Josh Downs.
Josh Downs.
I like Josh Downs last year. Josh Downs is one of my guys that came on a year too late for me. You know those guys that they come on and you get them very early and you're like, oh, this guy's gonna be a player, man. Like I kind of feel that way about Jalen McMillan and a few players this year. And I'm like, man, that guy's gonna be a good player. And I really felt that about Josh Downs though, because I just felt like he was so consistent. I felt like he catched the ball. He's so consistent, and I feel like he has been that guy this year. He's taken that next step. You can argue, is he their wide receiver one this year? He may be. I don't know.
He's playing like their wide receiver one.
Josh Downs fan over here, man. I'm a fan of the guy.
What about McBride? Has he caught a
Love him.
touchdown pass for you yet?
Has not, man. Has not. But he did. Listen,
But he's
crazy
over
as the tight
1,000
end.
yards, right?
Correct. So as crazy as the tight end position has been, McBride has been a luxury to have on my team the last 2 years. I had him at the end of last year. I saw him kind of coming on at the end of last season. I want to say mid-end of last season. I saw him kind of coming on. So I kept him on my team. I picked him up, I think, off waivers. I kept him last year, and I actually drafted him this year. And he's been a pleasure to have on. Listen, even in my short amount of time playing fantasy football, like the 4 to 5 years that I've been playing, the tight end position is a nightmare. It's a nightmare position. It's a nightmare position. So if I could just get a guy there that can you give me 5-6 points, brother? Like, give me something. Can you just give me a few points consistently? That's all I ask from you. And McBride has been the model citizen of that. Like, he hasn't caught touchdowns, but when I look down at that number, a lot of times he's sitting in double digits, and I'm happy with it.
There you go. Yeah. So you want to finish that? Did you finish your lineup, or am I finished?
Yeah, that was it for me. That's it for me, man. That's what I'm taking into. I can repeat it again if you need me. Let me just do it one more time for the people. Now that I got things fixed, I think I got things fixed here. All right. No, I think I'm gonna take out Higgins. All right. Am I benching Jordan Addison in this league? But I'm looking at my leagues here and I'm trying to see who is getting benched and why. Oh, so in my league, I don't know. I guess would you play T. Higgins over Jordan Addison? Or would you play Jordan Addison over? So with T. Higgins, you got going versus Denver. Jordan Addison, you got going versus Green Bay. Jordan Addison lineup is 32nd. T. Higgins lineup is like 31st. No, 27. 20. Neither lineup is great. Yeah. Neither situation is great. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of, if you don't have Jamar Chase, then maybe you run Higgins out. But if you got Chase and Higgins, then like, what do you do?
Well, I have Addison and Higgins here. I have Addison or Higgins in this particular lineup. Chase, I'm running out for sure in my other lineup, but in this lineup, I can either play T. Higgins, which I'm kind of hesitant against because
who's Minnesota matched up against this week?
Green Bay at home. Green Bay at home.
See, these are two must-win games.
Man, I think I'm gonna play Addison, man.
So like who has the most pressure?
Last time they played against Green Bay, Addison had 20.
Is out of the playoffs, so they're playing free.
Okay, so let me see here. So let me look here. Last time against who they playing? Oh, so this is not divisional, so they're not. So they played when I'm looking here at the Addison game. Last time they played, Addison had 20 against Green Bay last time in Green Bay. Oh, man, that's rough. And Higgins is questionable. Another reason that I don't like it is because I feel like my market share of Bengal players is high. Like, I have Joe Burrow and Chase on one of my championship teams, and I have Chase Brown. And if I play T. Higgins, I'll have Chase Brown and T. Higgins on my other championship team. Well, I would need that game to be extremely high scoring in order for all these players to eat, James.
Well, now I'll give you one of my teams, and this is mostly a Sunday matchup, and my quarterback is Tua. My running backs are Barkley and Taraji Spears.
Mm-hmm. Barkley and Spears. Spears, how did Spears do? Because I heard that Pollard wasn't playing, but I swore I saw Pollard out there.
Yeah, I've heard that too, but Pollard hasn't been putting up the numbers, and I ran Spears out there. I don't have Pollard as a backup, so I couldn't handcuff him. But my wide receivers are Ridley, Cooper, and Josh Downs. Mm-hmm. My tight end is Bowers. My flex, in my flex spot, I have Romeo Dobbs, and my defense is the Eagles.
I don't like your flex spot as much.
I didn't either, but it was once again I had a chance, and I have to think about this because in another in another team with almost exactly the same lineup, except well, the other team is this: I have Jordan Love, Jerome Ford, Taraji Spears, Myers, Ridley, Josh Downs, Bowers. Addison is my flex, and then I have the Eagles as my defense.
It's two interesting lineups. It's two interesting lineups, man, because that lineup, so when you hear lineups like that, I feel fortunate about my lineup that I'm going into my championship week with this week because it's a lineup with this particular team. Both of these teams really are both lineups that I drafted. They look very similar to the lineup that I drafted. The lineup that you named sounds like a waiver wire lineup somewhere in there. Like you patched together a couple of those players, like those players in
most definitely. Most definitely. Myers was, if I had a chance on the other one, I would have grabbed Ridley instead of Myers.
For sure.
I still like Amari Cooper, but Amari Cooper hasn't caught
disappointment. Amari Cooper is probably the reason why I'm not was not in the first place game in my home. One of the things I'm going to take away, if we could have one takeaway, guys, for this fantasy season for me, that takeaway is going to be to trust my gut and not go with the names. Because what I did was I had Jerry Jeudy, but I saw Amari Cooper available. So I went and dropped Jerry Jeudy for Amari Cooper because I think in real life at the time, and this is, of course, hindsight being 2020, we all know now, right? But at the time, when I did it, it was an obvious Amari Cooper for Jerry Jeudy, of course, right? Because you're looking at the names. But my gut, the reason why that was even a conversation for me was the fantasy production. Because I was looking at Jerry Jeudy's fantasy production. And I'm like, but he's a better fantasy player. He's killing this guy from a fantasy standpoint. I should have stuck with my gut. And next year, I think I'm going to do more of that. Stick with my gut. Going with the best fantasy player versus going with the name. That killed me. Ayuk killed me doing that. Pacheco killed me doing that. Like, there's so many names I went with this year that killed me when I should have just looked at fantasy production.
Yeah. I feel the same. I'm glad you were able to join us. We went a little over than what we
Hey, man, it's always fun. Hey, listen, time flies when you're having fun, man.
I know, man. So are you going to be around next week?
I might. I don't know for sure. I will see. I know I'll be back on the SPORTSKRIB probably the week after. If you guys do a show next week, I'll be on next week. But I think we'll probably do one the week after. So if we do one the week after, I'll be on for that.
Our first, let's see, our first SPORTSKRIB show of the year is January 8th.
I'll be there for that. For sure. And then maybe for the next week. I'm not sure for the next Saturday or next week altogether. I don't know. I have to look at my schedule.
All right. Well, give me a shout out and let me know whether or not you're available Saturday, and we'll schedule one.
All right, my friend.
There is no SPORTSKRIB, so as I said, we'll be back on the air on January the 8th for the SPORTSKRIB. And we'll be getting into the real playoffs.
It's that time.
Yep. So, and maybe we can get some of the Smash Up Sports. Hey, man, go over and check them out. They got some really
Smash Up
nice
Sports.
Out.
Absolutely. Still going, guys. You know, when fantasy season ends on Yahoo, doesn't mean it ends at Smash Up. You know, keep it moving there. You still be playing. For people that are eliminated, there's still leagues out here for you.
Yes, there are. All right, man. You have a great week, man. And
all right, happy New Year to you, my friend. Happy New Year to everybody. Safe and happy New Year.
Okay, man. And hopefully one of us will win that SPORTSKRIB t-shirt.
Yeah, man. Looking to try to get me a chip this weekend, guys. Hoping I can come back on and report that I have won a chip somewhere. That's all I'm looking for. Get that person out the way.
All right, my man. Have a good weekend. See you next week.
All right, see you later, buddy. All right, see you.
Well, for all of those of you that have made your playoffs, good luck, and we'll see you next week. Hopefully, right here on the SportsKRIB Fantasy Show. Have a great weekend. Enjoy the games today.